Welcome to the newest episode of the process of fat loss, where our goal is to help you understand the best way to lose fat and live a healthier life. Join us as we discuss some of the toughest and most valuable topics in health and fitness. Today, we will be looking at the GCP Optimal Diet. Now, the definition of optimal, I looked this up, is most desirable and satisfactory. But today, we'll look at how we define optimal and in the context of our diet. So to start us off, Trevor is going to give some basic understanding of exactly what optimal means in our context and what the diet is.
Hi guys, this is our forever diet. This is the diet that we designed to make sure that we could have people when we were building out roadmaps, we wanted to first help with fat loss. We want to make sure that we help them decrease inflammation. We wanted to make sure this is something that they could do forever. And that's when I was like, I have to have that optimal diet. What's the diet that I would recommend in the long run? Everybody get on this diet. And they could start on this diet day one. They just take them a little bit longer to lose fat over time. But that's why our other diets can kind of speed up fat loss a little bit quicker. But really, the optimal diet was meant to help people out forever. So that's what the optimal diet is for us. It's our forever diet. When designing, we did a ridiculous amount of research and took as many things into account as possible. We thought about our clients' lifestyles, and they are naturally sedentary people. We thought about the issues that they struggle with. They want to lose weight. They struggle with autoimmune issues and metabolic issues. They're insulin resistant. So those are big obstacles that they're running into every single day. We want to make sure that we had a diet that could fix these issues first. We have to fix them. We just can't deal with them. We have to fix them, as well as then continue to eat this way the rest of their life. So that, most diets is like, I need to eat this way until I'm done, achieve my goal, and then I can go back to eating that way. And the optimal diet was meant to be yes, if you do our keto or carnivore diet, and we have videos on those if you want to learn about those, you could move eventually into optimal. So you would be changing, but it's very minutiae change. It's really just body fat percentage. It's just macro percentage changing realistically. But overall, it's pretty similar. The roadmap looks very similar with a lot of the same foods. You're just adding a little bit more foods in as you add more carbohydrates in. But we don't ever add in toxic foods. But it came down to is I really want to design it around the person, like our client. Our client is just that sedentary person that has a lot of life struggles. And so optimal for us is optimal what's for them. So that optimal diet might not be perfect for your world-class athlete. This might not be an optimal diet for them. This is an optimal diet for the average American that eats the average standard American diet, that wants to lose weight, and they want to be healthy forever, and they're tired of trying to figure out what's the next diet. Jump on this diet, know it's a long-term journey, and if you follow it consistently, you will achieve whatever that long-term goal is.
So we're going to start off by looking at who should be following the optimal diet. So Trevor, who would you recommend follows the optimal diet?
Everyone. That's kind of as simple I can get to. We have our other diets that I think if you have a little bit more body fat to lose, which is probably 30 or more pounds to lose, you should probably be doing one of our other diets. If you're looking to lose body fat, this diet will work for you. And if you're not willing to sacrifice carbs, I don't want to go too low in carbs because I'm a carb addict. You probably should be on one of our other diets realistically, because you are a carb addict, right? You need to fix that. You don't. An alcoholic, you don't just say, hey, just drink one. It's okay. I know you like alcohol. You can have one glass a day. You can just have one glass a day. If you're a carb addict, somebody that can't go without carbs, you need to eliminate carbs from your diet because it's an addiction, right? And carbs are an addiction. They're sugar. Sugar's an addictive type property, right? So that would be my recommendation. But I'm trying to if you're not somebody that struggles with that really, then this is a diet for everybody else to be on. Ones that don't have a lot of massive weight to lose, if you will have 20 or less pounds to lose and you want to find your forever thing, this is who it's for. If you want a diet that's easy to do for life, this is a great diet that you could do forever, and it doesn't have that many. It has restrictions in terms of rules, but the restrictions are to create long-term health, meaning you shouldn't be having those things anyway, right? It's just I really want to go out and binge drink one night a week. It's you shouldn't be doing that anyway. You shouldn't be drinking like that. I really want to be able to just go face first into half a pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. It's one slice of pumpkin pie, cool. Well, a half a pumpkin pie? No, that's not reasonable, right? So that's kind of stuff. If you're somebody that doesn't have autoimmune diseases or issues, this is a good diet for you as well. If you have autoimmune diseases, I'd rather you go to keto or carnivore. And especially if you've eliminated your eating issues and you have gotten rid of those intense sugar cravings, this is a really good diet. That's why our diets are progressive, right? So you can go, if you struggle with those things intensely that I just talked about, you go all the way to carnivore. If you're really, really intense, you go to carnivore, and then you work your way into keto, and you work your way into optimal. Optimal is that long-term diet. You move into that forever diet. And it's like a scale. It's like, how intense is your stuff? You start over on the carnivore and then you go keto. But if your stuff's not intense, then we go keto instead and move your way to optimal. Well, eventually you work your way into the optimal if you decide you don't want to do one of those other diets forever. But you got to make sure that you don't have autoimmune issues, because this diet will help you reduce those, but it probably won't eliminate them like a keto would, or as fast as a keto or carnivore would. And if you have eating disorders or something of that nature, this is going to be okay. It's going to be much better. But like, you got to make sure that we get those things under control. And I think one of those other diets is a little bit more strict. But I do think this is a forever diet that anybody can do and everybody should do eventually.
Okay. So now we're going to dig into the details a little bit more about the optimal diet. So what are the macros that we use for this one, the percentages there? And then what are some foods that you should not be eating or avoiding on the optimal diet?
So the macros of the diet, if you guys don't know what macros are, that's protein, fats, and carbs. And when you look at it in terms of how do I use those, is you have a 2,000 calorie diet. Let's recommend that. Your calories should be based on your basal metabolic rate, which you can get from your in-body scan or body fat testing scan, or there's calculators online too if you're not somebody that's in our gym. So it would be the percentage of that 2,000 calories. So let's say it's 2,000 calories. So in this diet, you would eat 20% of those 2,000 calories as carbs. So that's considered a low carb diet, where a low carb diet, 20% is carbs. 30% is protein. If you've been listening to any of our other diets, that 30% is the same in every single category, because protein is very, very important, but too much protein is also a negative as well. So it's 30% in every single diet. We're manipulating carbs and fats, really. And then fats are 50% of your diet. So those are your macros. What foods not to eat? A lot of the foods are going to be the same as ones as if you listen to the other podcasts. Toxic carbs, you want to get rid of legumes. So toxic carbs should be out forever. The reason they're in the toxic carb category is they should not be there. So we want to eliminate those things consistently forever. So the legumes, corn, breads and pastas, chocolate. Now, chocolate in this category can probably come in a little bit. Like, it is toxic in certain ways, but I know it's a hard thing for people to keep out. So we could add in a little bit, but we don't want to, I don't want to say by saying chocolate, you have permission to go nuts, but like a dark chocolate's probably not going to be the worst from time to time. But that's more because of people's habits than really what's best and healthiest for them. Any mushrooms or fungi are toxic vegetables as well. Toxic vegetables are a pretty big list, but that's pretty much everything that we don't list in our non-toxic vegetables, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Toxic fats, so seed and vegetable oils should always be gone. Those PUFAs are really bad for you. Get rid of those. Nut butters, nut milks. Nut milks and nut butters are really hard for people to give up because they're so addicting. That's the obstacle. But they said they were so good for me. Well, they're so good for you because they're cheap to make and they can dump a ton of sugar and you'll eat a ton of it. Imagine how many peanut butter jars you guys have gone over in the year. That's good. They want you to eat more. That's why it has so much sugar in it. Nut butters are toxic. Nut milks are toxic, but I thought I was supposed to eat almond milk. No, or you're not, because it's just mainly toxic. We have a podcast about that, so I'm going a little too deep there. Most nuts, all seeds, other toxic foods, all alcohol. Now we are going to allow a little moderation of alcohol inside of this diet because we know it's a long-term diet, but we'll talk about moderation of alcohol a little bit later. Sugars, artificial and processed sugars for sure, and soy and tofu need to be eliminated.
Okay, so now let's look at the other side. What foods should we be eating?
When it comes to proteins, any meat you can think of. Lamb and beef are going to be your best, but you can go chicken and pork are great as well. Try to stay a little bit fattier if you can, because fattier is just going to give you more nutrients. It's going to help out with that 50% fat category as well. Fattier meats have more nutrients in them in general. Seafood, amazing food as well. You can anything from crab and lobster to fishes. Just be careful with mercury on certain things, but that's about it with seafoods. Some processed meats are fine as well. Nitrate-free hot dogs, nitrate-free brats, sausages, deli meats. Bone broth, another great tool. Eggs are great too. I do want you to eat the yolks. Yolks are really important. Don't worry about the cholesterol number. That's not as important as people always thought it was. But egg yolks are really good. Try not to eat just egg whites, because egg whites themselves can have some toxic things, especially for people that have allergies. Fats, egg allergies is mainly, the egg allergy mainly comes from the whites, not from the yolks. Fats, cooking oils, the things you'll be cooking with are going to be butter, ghee, tallow, that'd be beef or pork or duck or something like that. So it's just their fat, right? Their lard. And then coconut oil as well. You can do that in spray form if you want to. That's no big deal. Dairy, whole milks, hard cheeses, Greek yogurts. Remember, we're trying to keep the carbs low in those. Try not to have added sugars to any of those things. Make sure that if you want, fruit in your Greek yogurt, you put the fruit in yourself. Animal fat's really healthy for you. Eat the fat on the steak. If you don't like it because of texture thing, totally fine. But if you're not eating it because you think it's unhealthy for you, it is completely healthy for you, and the more healthy fats there are. There are a couple nuts you can have. You can have cashews, hazelnuts, and macadamia nuts. If you want to know more about why we chose the things we do, join our roadmaps courses, learn about our programs, join our great game change transformation program for a few months, and we'll dive into exactly why you can't have the things that we're talking about here. But that's the best way to learn about those things. Avocados are great as well. Have plenty. We only have a certain amount of carbs, but there's a lot more fat than carbs in avocados. So make sure you can eat those in your fat category. But you still have to remember there are carbs in it. Carbs, all fruits are good. You've probably listened to our podcast about fruits. Like, go back and listen to it if you haven't, on why we think fruits are so good. We open up our veggie list a little more in the optimal diet. So we have zucchini, cucumbers, olives, squash, carrots, cucumbers. I said twice, pumpkins. And then fermented foods as well are really good for you because they've already had, and pretty much any fermented food, because it's already gone through the fermentation process, which is our ancestors' way of eliminating toxics. They knew plants were toxic for them. So they created the fermentation process that allowed their body to digest the food better and take the toxins out. Tubers are okay in this category as well. And raw organic honey is a good carbohydrate. Now, you got to be smart with raw organic honey because there's a lot of calories to it. Don't overdo it. If you're going to have it, probably have it with something else so that way it doesn't just affect your insulin levels. Drinks, coffee, tea. You guys heard my other podcast. I think they aren't the world's best, but I'm going to let people get away with it because they are kind of addicted to them and they need the caffeine levels from it. But there are mold toxins in there. So be smart where you source your coffee and tea from. Probably the local stuff from Walmart's probably not doing you any health benefits. So look for a little bit healthier stuff that's been tested for mold-free. Mineral water is really good as well. Regular water, organic wine, use sparingly, but that's kind of what the main alcohol we recommend on this diet would be organic wine. That way you keep the toxins out from the process of them, cleaning the wine or spraying the seeds and stuff with the grapes. Condiments, we do allow condiments. Just be smart. We try to do sugar-free because there's a lot of calories in condiments. G. Hughes, Walden Farms are good. Worcestershire sauce, yellow mustard, hot sauces, coconut aminos are really good.
Okay, so now that we have the roadmap and the guidelines for the carnivore diet, and we know what to eat and what not to eat, what are some obstacles that someone could experience while on this diet? And then how long should you be eating this diet with these guidelines?
I think the main obstacle is going to be their mindset shift. That's not short term. It's a long-term diet. Eating healthy is forever and will always be forever. I listened to this podcast the other day and I thought it was really good. And the guy said, he's like, when you start thinking about the diet you're going to do, the diet that you're going to do next, what's the diet I can do for however many years I have left on earth, right? So I'm 35, and if I take that as a 100-year journey, I have to eat this way for 65 years. What diet can I eat for 65 years? So if you go pick a diet that I couldn't eat that for 65 years, probably not a long-term diet. This is a long-term journey, guys. Find something you can eat now and forever so you don't have to keep worrying about it every single year. You have to what's the new diet this year? What's the new diet this year? What do I need to do now? No, you don't. And you don't get to go back to eating the way you ate before because that's what got you here. And it's not going to get you. What got you here won't get you there, right? So you got to change this diet forever. So it's a mindset shift. You got to change that paradigm of the lens you're looking through. You need to track food early, probably in this diet, if you're not really good with macros and you have no idea what 20% of carbs comes out to be. Because a lot of people think 20% carbs sounds like a lot, and if you have a lot of calories in your diet. If you're able to eat 3,000 calories, 20% is a lot of food. But if you're only on a 1,300 calorie diet, 20% of carbs can be used up super fast. And you might be using up in ways that you don't realize you're using up in condiments or in some milk or something that you're putting in your coffee or creamers and things of that nature. There's no end to this diet. It's a forever diet. It's a diet I want people to work towards. You can lose weight on this diet for sure. If you're looking for mainly weight loss, I need to get my journey jump started and have a lot of weight to lose, I'd probably start on carnivore and keto. I know a lot of people go to our optimal diet first because I just don't want to give up the carbs. Guys, you have a carb addiction. You need to give up the carbs. That's my next tip. Hopefully you're taking notes, Nick. I probably mentioned a lot of podcasts, but another one I probably should do is a carb addiction podcast because the carb addiction podcast, people don't realize how addicted they are to carbs, and that if you can't get rid of carbs in your diet, it's just like if you can't get rid of alcohol, you might be an alcoholic. If you can't get rid of carbs, you might have carb addiction. So this is a forever diet, and I think this is the diet people should move towards and stay on as long as they possibly can.
So why do we consider it our forever diet? I know you mentioned this a little bit before, but why would you consider our forever diet?
Yeah, this goes back to the why did we design it for the clients that we did? And that's the whole thing. When we design the optimal diets, like it has to be the forever diet because what did the clients going to struggle with not today, but what are they going to struggle with today and forever? So that's why we went low carb because our clients are just less active people. You know, if I'm talking to you guys that are on the other side of this podcast, I'm like, you're probably sitting at a computer most of the day, work on a computer probably somewhere between 8 to 12 hours a day. Very unsedentary. But I work out. I work out every day. Good. That's probably for an hour. That hour is not enough to make up for 12 hours of sitting. You're not a very active person. An active person would be somebody that works a factory job and is on their feet all the time, walking around all the time. They probably, do 20,000 steps in a day. A person that isn't very active is less than 10,000 steps a day. And I guarantee most of our clients struggle to get to 10,000 steps. So we need to be low carb. And, I've talked about the insulin effect. Like I don't want to go too deep into that, but the insulin effect can again help you understand even more why the low carb idea. But what it comes down to be, we just don't burn through enough carbohydrates. If we don't burn through enough carbohydrates, they turn into body fat. So that's why we have less active people. So we need to improve the insulin sensitivity and keep it improved forever, right? So this diet is meant to get your insulin level into the right level of being sensitive, and then we want to stay there forever. The more insulin sensitive you are, the better chance you can utilize carbohydrates. And if you have a little bit extra, no big deal. But if you're insulin resistant, your body's going to continue to ask for cravings to get more of those. And then we created a low toxicity food scale. We made it so I want you to reduce your inflammation, your autoimmune disease issues. I want to eliminate those things, not just for now, but forever. I want you to never have to worry about eczema again. Because when you do go back to eating the way you did, your eczema will come back. I don't want you to ever have to worry about should I be eating kale? Kale makes me sick. Yeah, you should not ever need to be eating kale again, right? So low toxicity for long-term reduction of inflammation. So these are things that we took into play when we're considering our forever diet.
Thanks for explaining all that, Trevor. Do you have any other tips for someone who would be following this roadmap?
Yeah, if you're going to drink, only drink 1 or 2 times a week max. Even though wine is okay on our diet, it doesn't mean it's permission to drink it every single day. Try to keep it down. It does put the brakes on fat loss really hard. So don't go ahead, try to avoid it as much as possible. If you can go without it, you're awesome. That's really good. Use salt daily. I would say when you're first starting off on any low carb diet, you should have an electrolyte supplement you should be using consistently, like our Element product that we use. But real salt is another way to go. I love the real salt. You can get the brand's called Real Salt, and I don't want to go into a salt lecture, but there's a lot of different types of salts out there. But pretty much a non-table salt, it's more going to be like your Aztec salt, your Himalayan salt, your real salt's going to be a little better. But you need to add salt consistently to your diet because you're going to have way less processed foods in your diet, and your body's not going to get near as much sodium as it once did. So those are my main tips for making this successful.
What was your call to action for our listeners today?
I wanted to walk you through another one of our roadmaps. We have a couple more roadmaps we'll go over in the future, but this is the third of our roadmaps we talked about. This is our forever diet. We made it to be there to achieve long-term fat loss. So the carnivore and the keto diet were really meant to achieve fat loss. The optimal diet I designed to hold off fat loss forever because one of the issues that clients run into with in general fat loss is they get to that goal and they can't maintain that goal. And I wanted to fix that. I'm like, what do you do forever then? How do you keep this? What are the things that are being missed? The forever diet was designed to change all that. Now you do need to exercise forever. And one of the best tools for maintaining weight loss is consistent strength training. One of the best tools. Good sleep as well is another, but then having the right diet can really help out. So optimal is not meant to be a quick change. It's a long game. You're meant to follow it consistently and have incredible change over a long year. If you just choose to do optimal day one, that's a diet I want to do. It's going to be a lot longer change. It's going to take a good 12 months to have a real transformation. You're still going to get crazy healthy, way healthier than any other diet it's going to get. The other ones will just get you a little bit more fat loss a little bit quicker. We talked about this in the last couple podcasts. This is not forever. I'm not trying. This is forever. It's not short term. I'm trying to be honest with people saying, I'm not going to quick fix you. I don't have a magic bullet. I do not have that thing. If I did, I would give you the magic pill tomorrow. I promise. That's how badly I want this for you as well as for myself. I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I know there's no quick fix for this. So I need you to understand that you need to do the work today, tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now, 10 years from now. You still have to do the work. There's not going to be one day you wake up and be like, oh, cool, I don't have to think about food anymore. You're going to be thinking about food today, and you're going to think about food when I'm 96 years old, period. Because we are inundated with ads and things all the time talking about food. Food is a constant in our society. Every birthday party you go to, every event you go to has food involved and sweets involved, right? So we're going to be thinking about food forever. So this is not a small journey, guys. This is forever. Get on the ship, get on the right track. Quit trying to shortcut it and be like, oh man, I'm going to get there in 2 weeks and I'll be done. No, get on the right track. Think about the long-term game. Be okay with the fact that that scale doesn't move as fast as you think it's going to move. And know that in the end, you will have an amazing transformation, but it might take you 6 months to a year to 2 years to really see that transformation happen.
So if people wanted to learn more about the GCP Optimal Diet, where would you suggest they go?
I mean, it is a combination of a lot of diets out there, so I don't know if I have a perfect place to go. But one of the guys that I kind of took this from the design of the animal-based animal-based food idea is Dr. Paul Saladino's animal-based diets. He wrote the book Carnivore Code, but he's more moved into an animal-based diet. And more than that, meaning like he's added some fruits and other things back into his diet a little bit for long-term thing. And I kind of designed it a little bit off of that idea, along with other takes that I took from like the Primal Blueprint and other things of that nature. So it's really come down in precision nutrition things. It's really come down to a lot I've learned. So you can look at his Dr. Paul Saladino's content's a really good place to go. We'll have links to like his Instagram or something into our thing. So Nick can attach something there so you can find out where to find him. But, you know, the only way you can really learn about this diet, right? The only way you can really learn about the optimal diet is to go through our program. We have an 8-week program. And our 8-week program is our masterclass, right? So our masterclass is how we give you 8 weeks to really dive into it. You get accountability and coaching, stuff like that. Or you join our other program called Game Changing Transformations, which is happening all times of the year. It's going on all the time. And we have layers built into that one. So that one you can do one-on-one coaching. You can do group training. You can do it self-guided. Each one has a different price level. So we have these different price levels to help fit what your budget is, one, but also the help you need. Just because maybe your budget fits a lower one, but I really need one-on-one coaching. Like you got to do, because like health is happiness. People spend so much time trying to figure out how to become happy. They'd improve their health, they'd be happy. Going to Disney World one more time will not make you happy. It won't, because when you come back from Disney World, it's gone. To be healthy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 24 years, the rest of your life, like that's happiness, guys. So like start to sacrifice in that way to know I'm going to sacrifice for my health, to know I'm going to have long-term happiness, because there's so much more I can do out of this. If you're interested in one of these programs, let us know. Like I said, we have levels too. It's like our training program. We have levels that fit what your needs are.
Yeah, so like Trevor said, if any of you are interested in learning more about these roadmaps or joining our masterclass or our transformation program, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can send us an email, you can leave a comment, or visit our website, and we'll have all of that linked below so you guys can get in contact with us. I hope you have enjoyed this discussion on today's topic. Remember, the best time to start living healthier is today, so make sure to take action in your life right away. If you have enjoyed our episode, we'd ask that you would give us a review. You can do that on Spotify. You can also give a written review on Apple Podcasts. You subscribe on any of those platforms or YouTube so that you don't miss the next episodes. And then follow us on social media to stay up to date on future episodes and then all the other kinds of content that we put out. If you have any ideas for future episodes that you'd like us to talk about or anything like that, you can leave it in the comments, send us an email, or mention it to us if you're in the gym at any time. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode and will join us for the next episode of The Process of Fat Loss.
Remember, guys, there's no time